I needed to make a grill to protect the radiator, and I decided to have a little fun with it. I would feel a little guilty working on an elaborate project like this just for fun during the workday, so I stayed after work and spent the evening in the shop flexing my creative muscles. My mom and my dad have very different personalities, and I think I got a pretty even 50-50 split of both of theirs. My dad is a really good problem solver, and he's good at seeing ways to improve things and increase efficiencies. And he's also very level-headed and good at seeing the big picture. And then my mom is a little more eccentric. She's an artist, and she's really interested in design and shapes and colors. She has a little art studio that she spends a lot of time in. So when I started this project on the Fertilizer Buggy, its main focus came from my dad's influence on me, just like most things I do on the farm are. I told myself I had to be sure the project would improve the use of the spreader, and it needs to be worth our time and money. But once I felt confident about those things, then I felt my mom's influence start creeping in, and I found myself thinking, but how can we make it look cool along the way? I heated up some 1/2-inch round bar and started copying the shape that fit under the hood and in between the frame. And once I had that done, I laid it onto some expanded metal and traced around it, and then cut out that shape. I get so excited and get a lot of energy when I start in on a project that lets me be a little creative. That's kind of why I started making videos in the first place, was to let me work in some creativity to my day's work on the farm, just from the recording and editing video side of things. I like expanded metal. I think it looks cool, but there's about a million ways to cut yourself when you're working with it, so you gotta be a little careful. Doesn't go that way, dummy. Fit a little better after flipping it over. And then I worked my way around tacking the expanded metal to the round bar. The expanded metal melts through really easily, so they had to be small tacks and had to be real careful and deliberate with them. I felt like I needed some kind of emblem or logo in the center of the grill, so after thinking about it and deciding on something, I drew the shape of my table and tried to copy it. Most of my big projects, like the fertilizer buggy in my barn, are completely designed and drawn up on the computer beforehand, and so I have fun on these smaller projects where I get to wing it and make design decisions on the fly. How about a lightning bolt? Yeah, I guess that'll work. And then I built a ring to go around the outside of it. Definitely a little random, but I kind of liked it. After finding center and positioning the emblem, I've put just 2 small tacks on each shape on the front to hold them in place. I was hoping to hide the tacks as much as possible on the front, trying to give it a cleaner look. And then I flipped it over and gave it some stronger tacks where they wouldn't be seen. I was nervous about this weight in the center bouncing in and out, but the expanded metal was tight enough that it didn't move at all, which I was happy about. Next I grabbed some 3/8 round bar to make some vertical ribs. I marked it with a Sharpie, and then this stuff is small enough to cut with the bolt cutters. It's nice and quick and easy, and gives me a little bit of a workout along the way. I ended up just eyeballing the layout on these. It's kind of a weird shape, and I thought it was going to be hard to measure the exact spot for each of them. And since it's just for looks and not important, if I was happy with how it looked, then that's good enough. I left these inside two pieces for last because I didn't quite know where they were going to go until I had all the other pieces in place, and then I could cut them at an angle and fit them in. And then I just had a bunch of welding to do on it. I really wanted to make sure the expanded metal didn't bounce and vibrate against the ribs, so I put a ton of tacks on them to tie it all together. It was getting kind of late here, and I snuck into my parents' garage and took a beer out of their fridge, which helped me power through the last of it. Don't tell them. And then it was time for the best part, fitting in place for the first time. Thought it looked pretty good. It covered the radiator nicely, and I thought matched the shape of the front end pretty well. I made some tabs and welded them on. That'll hold the grill to the frame. Stuff like this I found is much easier to make the two pieces and bolt them together and then weld them in place, because you know the bolt holes will line up. And then I welded some onto the bottom also. And then it was done. It's definitely not going on the front end of a hot rod, but I didn't think it was too bad for my self-imposed limit of an evening's worth of work. Thanks for watching.